Roosters star James Tedesco has re-signed with the Roosters. You had an article today in the paper about Suaalii and Tedesco, and the Roosters have moved on this straight away, Buzz.
Yeah, they have, and I'm told they'll put out a press release, and it's now coming up on the Daily Telegraph website. James Tedesco, the Australian captain, has extended his contract at the Sydney Roosters until the end of 2025. At that time, he'll be 33 years of age. I presume that'll be Teddy's last year. Leaves the door open for Joseph Suaalii to, if he's prepared to remain patient, to take over in that fullback jersey in 26. But great news for the Roosters. I think they wanted to take the sting out of the story, the sting out of the competition between two players, and they've done that to a degree by extending Teddy today.
To a degree, though, it's not completely gone, because as much as it is about the rivalry with Tedesco, it's also about whether Suaalii actually goes to rugby, which is what the fear is, if he doesn't get that fullback job.
Yeah, well, that's now the issue. The issue isn't... I mean, for me, the issue was always Suaalii and whether he'd go to rugby. For me, because in 25...
I think it takes something out of that, Reedy. What it does, it puts a definite time... Look, if to Buzz's point...
Do you think he'd be ready to retire at 33?
I don't know, but I think there's a suggestion, given the terms of this deal, from what... it's still we're still getting details through, OK?
Yeah.
But from what we've been led to believe, or what we know so far, it's an indication that might be his last season, at which point they can then definitely say to Suaalii, listen, mate, this is it. So you've just got to stick it out. You might not get the fullback right now, but this is when you will be taking over, by which time you'll be ready to go.
By locking up Joseph last week for an extra 12 months when he took up that option, it bought the Roosters 12 months to sit down with him, to sit down with his agent and make a long-term strategy.
Well, it's only one more year he's now got to wait, though. So what he's done is that he's tied up for 24. Tedesco's now tied up to the end of 25.
Correct.
So there's a 12-month extension he's going to have to find Suaalii, where he's going to have to sit there and say, right, I'm going to have to buy him a time for 12 more months on the wing. But as I said, if that is definitely Tedesco's end point, which we don't know, but that's sort of the indication that we're getting, then that would suggest that it can't be too long a wait. It's not like he's sitting there thinking, well, it could be 4 or 5 years, and he actually misses his peak period as a player.
But as I said, they bought themselves 12 months to sit down with Joseph and work on a long-term deal before rugby union have another serious crack at it.
And the flip side to that too is, if it is Tedesco's last season, then there's going to be cash freed up. So for when they talk about extending Suaalii, there's going to be cash there that's left behind by Tedesco.
Why haven't they been working on a long-term deal for Suaalii now, rather than just doing a one-year...
Well, they probably will.
But he won't sign a long-term deal, will he? He's never signed a long-term deal.
But he might now. If he's got a definite indication of when he will move into that fullback jersey, which is his ambition, which is the problem so far. He doesn't want to just sit out on the wing and just be left to sit on the vine there. If he's got a definite point where, mate, this is when you will be moving into the one jersey, he might be willing to say, particularly for all the other things we've spoken about at the Roosters, but for all the opportunities that are there, and the fact that you're in a successful club, you're in a team that's competing most years rather than not for a grand final and premiership. He might just say, you know what's worth sticking around for one more year. Like, I know the rugby's got to offer all the money in the world, but it's rugby.
Has there been a more powerful kid in the game? The influence he has, whether it's rugby,
Sonny Bill was
whether
pretty handy back in
the
the day.
Roosters, but he seems to dictate terms. It's on his... I'm talking like it's on his... terms.
It's not really his fault. He's a very, very special, dynamic, good style, marketable product.
Yeah.
And it's not his fault that Eddie Jones is undergoing a Wallaby rebuild and wants him.
Oh, it's a great position to be in. For him individually, it's a great position. But he's been way before Eddie Jones. He did the same thing at South, and then at the start of the Roosters.
Well, he's backing himself.
He is.
There's a touch of Kalyn Ponga about it, because Kalyn Ponga leveraged that into a mega deal that's going to pay him huge amounts of money down the track. So there's a touch of Ponga about they can't afford to lose him like Newcastle couldn't afford to lose Kalyn Ponga. So Kalyn was able to extract a mega deal out of that.
I'd argue Newcastle probably could have afforded to lose Kalyn.
Not at the time.
Oh, wow.
Not at the time.
That was a lot of money they've spent on Kalyn.
1.5.
We'll get there a bit later.
Yeah.
We'll get there. But, so, you said this morning, though, that there was maybe a rift there between him and Tedesco because of an incident in the game.
I'm not sure I said a rift, mate, but I think the situation I was talking about, and we all saw it when Keary put Suaalii away down the left side, I think he showed really poor game awareness. Here it is here. Look at Teddy under the post if he passes there, and he went on his own. And he was very lucky he had Sam Walker backing up there, otherwise it was a butchered try. Teddy would have scored under the post. That point the match was on the line.
Yeah.
I only raised it because...
Maybe it was just a poor decision by him. There.
That's what I said, poor game awareness.
Yeah, I wouldn't suggest that he didn't want to pass him the ball. Not saying he did,
yeah.
but that's kind of what it got painted on the back page. Is it that he didn't maybe want to pass him?
He just backed himself to score.
That's right.
Yeah, and probably shouldn't have though, Kenty.
No, in hindsight, definitely shouldn't have. Yeah.
He's a 9-year-old kid. He's going to make some bad decisions.
I made that point this morning.
And
I
he's
said
also-
we've got to remember he's 19. We've got to remember he's going to make a lot of mistakes down the track. And I did say it wasn't a selfish play.
I think you've also got to think too, 9 times out of 10 he scores anyway.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He's that talented that he's been in that situation, I would dare say hundreds of times, and he's scored 99 out of that 100.
In kids' football, schoolboy football, this is NRL. The
That's
point
true,
I
but he's
tried
still
to make was it was an awkward situation not to pass to him when there's so much to...
How's it awkward, Buzz? Seriously, how's that awkward?
Oh, you don't agree?
No, I don't. No, not at all.
Don't disagree.
I think it's he made the wrong decision in the game. It just so happened James Tedesco was there. Well, why? I don't see how
You're
it's...
sounding like Michael Clark.
Well, let's not go there, Buzz.
You got to have a stink at the car park.
Did you have a bit of a stink with him this
A
morning?
little bit, but
Did you?
it's all been sorted.
Well, that's good. That's the main
It
thing.
hasn't been sorted, let's be honest.
You love it.
We
don't
should
you,
get
me,
Clark. We should
Tom,
get Clarky on here.
Oh, wouldn't that be terrific?